What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. It's time for us to talk about Elimination Chamber 2021 with whatever matches we have. Shrug? I don't know. We'll see. So, we're going to break down what we do know, what we don't know, what I don't think anybody knows, and what you guys think, and what we think. And anything else that is going on here is a weird set of circumstances for this pay-per-view, but it'll be a fun one. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and as always, I've got with me Robert DeFelice.
WWE Network going out with a whimper.
And Callum Wiggins.
We're eliminating the matches one by one.
Yeah, it seems like it. This was a different podcast Monday afternoon than it was Monday night. And we haven't had any kind of clarification about some other things. So it's going to be one of those weeks where at the end of the week, either in time for the hot tags or just randomly on a Saturday or Sunday, in the middle of nowhere, we're going to get a complete adjustment to this card. I'm assuming at the very least, if they go with just the way that this is going to be just an absolute train wreck. And it still might be. I don't know. So as always, I want to know what you have to say. Drop a comment below in the YouTube video or wherever else you're listening to us, or Facebook or Twitter. If you are on the YouTube video, then you should also check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to us. That'd be great if you stick around. Ring that little notification bell as well. That way you are aware of when videos get posted, because sometimes we don't have like a set schedule of like, it's every, Wednesday at 3 o'clock or whatever it might be for uploading at the very least. It's just sort of random. Yesterday we had recorded our Starrcade 1997 watch along, and that fan announce table took so long to edit and process that it didn't get posted until I think 1 a.m, and we started watching it at 2. So yeah, completely different set of circumstances. But if you're subscribed and you like this, hit the like button. That'll help us with the SEO juice. Hit the share button if you got anybody that you think might be interested in checking this out as well. If you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, hit the applause button, hit the join button. That's the same thing as the Patreon. And if you go to patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment, you will be able to see the different tiers that we have there. If you got the spare change and you want to help us grow, that is the best way to do it. $10 and up gives you access to the dark casts. I don't know exactly what the next one's going to be 100% for sure, but more than likely it's going to be at least my thoughts, maybe everybody else's if these guys watch it, but my thoughts on the Progress show is more than likely what I'm going to have for the next dark cast. We might go back and check out the Belt or Bury results that you guys had done when I put that poll up. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll do something else. And eventually we're going to get another episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast as well. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's get into Elimination Chamber. Let's get into the fact that we have 5 matches that aren't 5 matches. Normally, on an event that WWE would have planned out ahead of time a little bit better, we'd be looking at a pretty stacked card, maybe 7, 8 matches, maybe 9, and we'd be thinking, well, there's no kickoff match announced, or there's no, we still haven't figured out the remaining contenders for whatever, and what do you think that we're going to get? Maybe we get this, maybe we get that. This time around, I don't think WWE knows what they're getting for half their matches, and I don't even think we need to get into the whole, what can they replace it with, because, unless you guys have any thoughts on that, are we getting any kind of just last-minute replacements entirely, or do you think that they have a full card in mind and we just haven't gotten it announced yet?
I think that the replacements that are needed will be announced, and I think they already have that set in stone. As far as any extra matches, I think the Women's Tag Team Championship will be on the line, whether it's a 3-way or a 4-way or just a straight-up tag match with any of the individuals that have been antagonizing Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. And in that match, I think there would be a new set of champions, but I cannot say who because I don't know who the participants are yet.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more matches added. I don't expect this pay-per-view to be particularly big regardless, because you have 2 Elimination Chamber matches. They'll take up about half an hour plus each. So they'll eat up time. I imagine at most we'll get 2 more matches added on top of the ones that we do or kind of have right now. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be excessive what they add onto it, but it's more of an issue of the fact that certain matches we don't have clarity over.
I think we're getting Lana and Naomi against Nia Jax and Baszler, but with their track record recently, they've been ignoring adding matches to the pay-per-views, even when it seems like they need to, and putting them on the television shows because they think that they need to prioritize that. So it wouldn't shock me at all if this is one of those awful events where they do put more matches on the card, but it quite literally is nothing that anybody would be able to guess because there is no purpose behind them. Like if we just get, hey, on the kickoff, Angel Garza is fighting Riddick Moss. And you're just sort of like, well, what? And they just go, well, wouldn't that be a match? You know, like they've done it before. They've done it with WrestleMania. So I don't put anything past them to just put matches for the sake of matches on this card and leaving something like the SmackDown tag title match, for instance, the Street Profits against the Dirty Dogs. That should, for all intents and purposes, be on this card, but they haven't said that they are getting that rematch yet. It's like kind of lingering. So it wouldn't shock me if that's just sort of, we'll leave it to SmackDown and we'll do maybe Dirty Dogs against Chad Gable and Otis just for the sake of having a match and they just beat somebody they've already beaten. Or I would think Big E defends the Intercontinental Championship against either Apollo Crews or Shinsuke Nakamura or a triple threat. But maybe they just wait until SmackDown, you know? Like it's not really like giving me a lot of vibes that they care about this event.
Well, again, it's something that we have broached on every now and again, or at least that I've discussed with the fact is that TV's a priority. These events don't matter anymore. And now they've sold WWE Network to Peacock, they really don't matter anymore. So it's a case of they used to use these as pay-per-view events to, when there were pay-per-view events like just strictly pay-per-view, you had to sell them big and make them as big as possible because that's how you got your major source of income. Now the major source of income is television. The issue is getting the ratings up. Obviously, that's not working at the moment, but they need to keep trying to do things that will boost those things from week to week. So putting more title matches or putting more important matches on the TV is more important than putting them on these events. Obviously, on shows like WrestleMania or SummerSlam or Royal Rumble, you're still going to have the big matches, but I don't really see that there's any benefit to WWE still putting the same amount of effort into pay-per-views that they previously did. Pay-per-view should be more facilitating potential matches. Like I would say that either this or Fastlane would be a good place to do something interesting, like have Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks team together against whoever's going to be fighting for the Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a match that, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't actually matter or won't change things in a great deal of thing. But it's like it's interesting. So it has an interest value into just it's a inter-brand match, but it doesn't have any real scope on the storyline aspect of it too much. It's something that you can miss and you don't really miss out on too much. So I kind of feel that's the way the pay-per-view is definitely going to be going in the future, outside of the most important ones, obviously. With this case, it is just due to the fact that I think a lot of things have been taken out of their hands. One thing in particular that we'll obviously talk about, but yeah, I think that there isn't a huge amount of emphasis being placed on it, but I think that comes with having put 2 pay-per-views in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And you really don't need to. Because at the moment, we're sitting in a situation where we don't know who Bianca Belair is fighting at WrestleMania, we don't know who Edge is facing at WrestleMania. And that's because they need to get through these 2 pay-per-views before they can really do that, because that it will make it super obvious in their mind what the results of all these pay-per-views will be if they say, Edge is fighting Roman at WrestleMania and Bianca's facing Sasha. Even though we know that's kind of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I still think that they would be better off doing a lot of this a lot better. Like, I don't get the vibe whatsoever that Bianca is fighting anybody but Sasha, because Edge popped up on all 3 shows and talked to all 3 champions and was like, I haven't made my decision yet. There's a chance that people go, well, I think he might fight Finn Balor. He's not. Let's be honest, he's not. But some people out there are thinking that might happen. Bianca literally only showed up on SmackDown, and she was pretty much like, like, yeah, I might fight Asuka, but hey, Sasha, let's really talk about this kind of. So it's like, if they do Sasha versus Carmella for like the 5th fucking time, who cares? Just don't even do it. Just cut the pay-per-view shorter. I'm all for having a set of circumstances. That's the phrase of the day, I guess. I think it's like the 3rd time I've said that. I'm cool with basically having the Elimination Chamber matches, and that's it. I wouldn't mind a 2-hour pay-per-view. Or, for that matter, an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I would when Raw's fucking 3 hours and they don't do anything with it. So if this is going to be your big event, treat it like one and do something with it.
Well, that's the best case scenario, but if they're going to just throw random matches on there to eat up time, I'd rather not have my time wasted.
Oh yeah, I'd much rather it's like a 2.5 hour show. I think that's the way they're going to go with these. I really believe that we're heading into a period where the pay-per-views that aren't the big shows are going to become in your house events, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that it should have always been that way. It should have never left the in your house branding. Of course, that's because the Attitude Era was a huge boom, so they milked it for everything they could. But again, I don't see them treating their television shows like super huge deals when they could be. So right now, I don't know what WWE's big attractions are outside of the one show a year that is WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, they're very much just coasting.
Well, they don't. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you kind of feel like, I mean, that's what happens when you have that sort of approach to work ethic and you're being paid billions of dollars every single year.
Yeah.
For it. So they have no incentive to work harder.
Yeah, if AEW would put them more on their toes, they'd be like, okay, well, now we got to fight to stick around like they did back in the 90s.
Well, I don't even think AEW stepping up their game would really change things too much, because the main thing is that if AEW does get really good and like starts getting like huge amount of viewership, the idea would be that, okay, that means wrestling is interesting again. Because the thing that people don't really talk about the Monday Night Wars is the fact that the reason why it was so successful for both sides, or at least until WCW completely capitulated, is because it was two promotions going head to head. It wasn't because one promotion was doing particularly well or both promotions were doing particularly well. The fact they were is kind of irrelevant. It was due to the fact that they were going head to head with each other, and that means that wrestling was interesting. So actually, AEW doing well is beneficial to WWE in that regards, because it makes wrestling seem even more important than it is right now. And right now, people are willing to pay, I've said, billions of dollars for it, even though their ratings are slipping to record lows. So again, it's just an indication. Like we talk about this, like the WWE's ability to fail upwards. It just goes to show, like maybe they actually, in a way, want their shows to get worse and worse because it's working out for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like they think that if the shows start getting better, then things might start changing. People go, oh, hang on a second, I see your numbers have gone up significantly. Well, going to take some of those money away now. Just
they're like, damn it, we got like a 2.1 this week. How can we make that a 1 point something?
Well, yeah, but maybe that's the issue. Is the fact like maybe they get like 2.1 one week, and then like there's like they feel like, okay, so you can start getting those numbers now, and then when the next week reverts back to more normal numbers, they go like, oh, that's why did it go so well that week and it didn't go well this week? And instead, if they keep a level of low mediocrity, or even worse than that, then that becomes the new average. They start doing well occasionally, then people start thinking, oh, why aren't you doing well more often?
Yeah, it's like that employee that never does anything, and then when they finally do something, people are like, oh my god, great job. And then you get the employee who cleans up everybody's messes but misses one little spill, and they go, god damn it, why didn't you clean that up?
Yeah, WWE don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. I'm that guy. I hate that.
I gotta feel in the wrestling sphere, AEW is that guy as well.
They're trying to clean him up. Impact, they're trying. It's like,
well, yeah, exactly. They're like doing a lot of like, and again, they're not perfect, but they're doing a lot of things really well. But then one thing happens, just as like, oh, you said you would do this in the past, and you're not doing it. It's just like, leave us alone. We're not those guys over there. Look at them. Putting on Lana and Nia Jax match for the millionth time or whatever, something like that.
It's like a press conference, and it's like, so tell us a little bit about your thoughts on AEW, where you end up going like, Yeah, I'm really glad you guys are really starting to build Jungle Boy, and you've got an interesting angle going on with Kenny Omega as champion, and it's cool that you're bringing in all these other companies and you're working together. And I mean, seeing Kenta fight Moxley, it's like it's pretty cool that you guys are doing that or whatever. But you said you're sports related. It's just kind of like,
Said you're sports related and you don't give your women enough time and
I had a dream last night, by the way, that Triple H was reaching out to me and he was sending me notes that people were sending him, and he was asking me to give him like the outsider insider perspective of things, of like, what do Smarks think about this? And I was like, well, I can't speak for everybody, obviously, because we all have different opinions and stuff, but this is what I think and whatever. And he was like, see, that's why I like you. That's why you're on the payroll, because you could tell me what I need to hear and whatever, unlike some people. And I was like, oh, what people? And there was this whole long conversation. Then he's like, oh, look at these funny videos I found on Instagram, and started showing me these like dumb animal tricks and stuff. And I'm like, like, that's fucking great, Paul. Like, kind of like, it's a random dream I woke up from a couple hours ago. And I was just like, huh.
You know what the most absurd thing about that entire thing is?
I'd be on the payroll.
No, that you were asleep long enough to have that dream.
Yeah. That's true. So, I guess let's talk about the matches that we do know, kind of. United States Championship triple threat match may not be a triple threat match because they've been treating Keith Lee as somebody who is quote unquote injured and may not be in this. It might just be, I think, the fourth Lashley and Riddle match. Riddle's lost a number of them. He beat Lashley on some episode of Raw to get another title shot or whatever. And adding Keith Lee into the mix was something a little bit different, but I honestly didn't really imagine that that's where they were going to go. I thought for sure that Bobby Lashley would just fight Keith Lee at WrestleMania, and they're jumping the gun with it a little bit. And maybe this is the universe being like, hold the fuck on. But Lee might or may not be in this match, and I honestly feel like this is Bobby Lashley retaining no matter what, if not 100% guaranteed if it's just Matt Riddle.
I think it will be a triple threat. I know that you've said they really harbored on the injuries, but I think it's going to be a triple threat, and I think Keith Lee wins it, actually. I kind of like the idea of shifting Lashley up. I want Lashley versus Drew if they're not going to do Edge versus Drew, and it doesn't look like they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the perspective that I'm taking as well, is that the only guy on Raw that really, on the actual main roster, that has any real opportunity to face Drew and it's feel somewhat big is Bobby Lashley. Just because he's been protected so much as United States champion. I don't know whether it's the case here. I mean, it's a good way to do it in a triple threat match by having, if you do have Keith Lee available, he can just pin Riddle, and that means Bobby Lashley's a bit more protected. You'd have the rematch. You should have Keith Lee at least beat Lashley at some point. But again, I never like the idea too much of the champion losing and then moving on to a bigger title. But I think Bobby Lashley has been protected enough that you can do that and it wouldn't be too much of an issue. But we don't know whether that's the plan with it right now. If there's no plans of doing Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE title, then Bobby Lashley should retain and he should drop it at WrestleMania.
I'm not feeling this Lashley McIntyre thing that you guys are. I don't get that indication that they're going in that direction at all.
They cannot drag Sheamus out for the next 2 months and then do it again at WrestleMania.
Well, they can.
Yeah, look at what we've gotten, man. Like,
yeah. Don't say like they can't leave it. Yeah, they can, but it's just like the hope is that they don't do that.
Like, Bobby Lashley is one of the most credible people on the Raw roster, but that doesn't mean jack shit to them. You know?
No, it doesn't. I mean, let's put it this way: if they can get anybody, like legitimately anybody from outside of the main roster to do it, Brock, Cena, anybody, if they can get anyone to do that, then they'll choose that person over Bobby Lashley every single time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. But it doesn't look like that's the route they're going. If they have a backup plan that is a part-time guy, then by all means, go with that. But I'm saying you can't expect me to believe that they're going to run with Sheamus 3 times and have him lose 3 times.
Yeah.
He'll
And,
have
yeah.
to beat McIntyre at some point.
And at the end of the day, we need clarity over the Edge situation as well, because even though it seems like most people are following the idea that it's going to be Edge versus Roman Reigns, the fact is Roman Reigns probably has more potential viable challengers on SmackDown, or at least that could put on better matches with Roman than Drew has on the Raw side of things. So if they decide to pivot at the very last minute and just go, okay, we're going to do Edge versus McIntyre instead because we can do something else with Roman, then it doesn't really matter at that point what Lashley or anybody else is doing. So it's hard to kind of predict this match with absolutely no indication about what's going to happen with Drew at WrestleMania at this point.
Right.
I feel like, I guess we should talk about this. Let me clear my throat and get that out of the way. I feel like there's almost no chance whatsoever that Bobby Lashley fights Drew McIntyre. I feel like he is like maybe 5th on the list, or maybe 6th or 7th, where that's not a knock on Lashley. Like, I think that Lashley's been doing the best stuff that he's maybe ever done. And I like Lashley, and I'd be fine with him winning the championship down the line and whatever too. But I kind of feel like Drew McIntyre against Sheamus, Drew McIntyre against Edge, McIntyre against maybe somebody like a Cena or a Lesnar, which I don't want to see the Lesnar match. Maybe even McIntyre against Strowman, the way that they're doing things. I think that there's a long list of other things that they have in mind. And they also still have The Miz in the mix. I don't think that that's really going to factor in, but
Stop reminding me.
If it does, like, it's another, I think there's a lot of different avenues that they are thinking about right now, and I just don't think that Lashley's one of them. I'm fully expecting Lashley to either drop the title here and try to get some rematch at WrestleMania, or much, much, much more likely retain the title here and fight Keith Lee at Mania. So I'm actually kind of hoping that Keith Lee's not in the match, even though it's just another Lashley beats Riddle thing, and it's like, damn it, do something different. Like, give me, I don't know, Lashley defends against, Lashley should have defended against Strowman. That should have happened. And then he runs through Strowman, and he looks even stronger. And then Lee gets the number 1 contenders match. Maybe he wins the number 1 contenders match at Fastlane or something. I don't know. But that's how I would do things. But then again, I sit down for 5 minutes and think ahead. And,
The one thing we can all agree on is don't go with Riddle.
Riddle's not winning it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And he's been kind of been made to look stupid. So, yeah, no Riddle.
Starting to get a feeling that maybe Riddle might fight Styles. Just in a match.
I mean, based on what I saw at the Royal Rumble, I would be wholeheartedly into a Riddle Daniel Bryan match. Even though that's in the promotional, but
yeah,
that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't really have too much hope for Riddle winning this. I think if it's triple threat, I'm going with Keith Lee winning. If it's a singles match, I'll have Bobby Lashley retain.
Agreed.
So let's talk about that WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match. Just jump to one of the bigger kind of things going on here. Bigger, there's 5 matches. We got Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Sheamus, and it should have been The Miz. But for whatever reason, I think that there was mainly 2 possible reasons. They decided to switch it up and they went with Kofi Kingston. Do you think that this was more of a scenario where they had planned that The Miz would do this, and it would be like, well, we're going to swerve everybody because we're going to put The Miz in there, then we're going to take him out, then we're going to replace him, and that'll be pretty interesting? Or do you guys think it's more like what I think, where over the course of the week from Monday Night Raw to the next Raw, somebody actually bothered to sit down and think about it, and they went, wait, why would The Miz be wanting to do this? Because he's Mr. Money in the Bank. Shouldn't he just want to capitalize on the winner? And that would be like way easier, and then we wouldn't have that. We could put somebody else in there and we can highlight that. I think that's the scenario. And then they went, shit, okay, well then we'll replace him.
Well, no, because there's been plenty of times where the Money in the Bank holder has taken a multi-man title match or just a title match and nothing has been made of it. I think because Edge maybe punked him out on that Raw, they might have looked at it like, well, now that we've said this on television, we can't do this, or maybe we should make The Miz seem like he can capitalize on this, even if they have no plans for The Miz whatsoever.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it was a plan all along, really, to announce The Miz and then have The Miz get pulled out. I think there might have been plans involving actually Morrison, not in the match itself, but it would actually have been Morrison against Kingston rather than Miz against Kingston. But for some reason, Morrison was completely absent from Raw.
Right.
So I assume that was the way they were planning on doing it. But I think it was the right move to put Kingston in instead. The match will be more interesting with Kingston in it. And it makes sense to have him. He's a former WWE champion, which is something they don't bring up often enough because essentially he lost it to Lesnar and then they completely forgot all about it.
I really enjoyed Miz going, well, John Morrison's a former ECW world champion. And just like, because nobody remembers that. And if they do, they definitely don't care. And it just seemed funny that he would try to bring that up for his friend. But yeah, Kofi makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised they didn't have Ali cost him the
I still think it's going to happen.
gauntlet match. So have him cost him the chamber.
I think they could do the thing because they've done that with Kingston in the past, haven't they? In Elimination Chambers, where Ali will attack him and Retribution will attack him before the chamber.
Edge attacked Kofi before
2009 because he had just lost it. He lost the one belt earlier in the night, so he just jumped Kofi for the other belt.
2009. Wow, I was going to say 2010, 2011. I think that Mustafa Ali's going to get involved here, but I also think that there's a chance that Braun Strowman knocks out somebody, and we might even see here, and I don't think that this is happening, but it might happen. We might see Kofi Kingston get taken out by Mustafa Ali. I gotta stop doing that. By Mustafa Ali, and we might see maybe even like Jeff Hardy get taken out by Braun Strowman, and it could be 5 heels against Drew McIntyre. Oh, I mean, Strowman's they're doing weird stuff with Strowman. They booked him as a heel. They booked him as a babyface. Then he's a heel. Then he's a babyface. He's getting into Big Show territory, and I don't like that. But Jeff Hardy is a weird set of circumstances. Why have I want to say set of circumstances? Doesn't even apply to the sentence. Jeff Hardy's a weird person to put in the mix here because he's been losing left and right. Yeah. Like they basically, for the course of like 4 weeks in a row, they were like, what does Jeff Hardy do? He taps out to Bobby Lashley.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be shocked if he gets taken out too, or in replacement of like the Kingston Ali thing.
I mean, at this point, there's a decent amount of potential, but I think Jeff Hardy's just there to do a few high spots and take a fall. That's pretty much it.
That could be that. And it's like they like balancing out 3 heels, 3 faces. Hardy, McIntyre, Kingston being the faces.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of have an idea about how this match is going to go in the grand scheme of things, which is Hardy's not going to do much and get eliminated fairly quickly. Something's going to happen involving either Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, and that's how Orton's going to be taken out of the match.
Probably. I'm going to be pissed if they end up giving him the title just to have that be a title match.
Realistically, if they want to extend the Sheamus and Drew McIntyre thing to at least Fastlane, then Drew McIntyre shouldn't eliminate Sheamus in this. Or if he does, it should eliminate him by a roll-up or something. To make it like, okay, you just got a flash pin on him. I think someone else should eliminate Sheamus. And then Sheamus gets angry and then he gets the opportunity. I think it should really come down to Drew and AJ, and then Drew just wins.
I don't think AJ is going to factor in at all.
I know he won't factor. I mean, he's not going to do anything involved in it, but like, I feel like if you're just going to have McIntyre win, which is really the only real option of this match, unless for some reason you are going to give the title to Sheamus, and the match at WrestleMania is Sheamus defending the WWE title against Drew McIntyre, then I don't really see the other heel that he can eliminate unless they save the Randy Orton elimination to the very end.
Part of me is thinking that they might actually have Sheamus win this just so McIntyre has to fight from underneath and win the title at Mania in front of people and get a pop. I'm not leaning more in that direction. I'm leaning more towards McIntyre retaining, but if anything other than McIntyre retaining happens, I think it's Sheamus winning that belt.
First of all, I think AJ is going to go the distance, and he'll be the standout of this match, and that will be the highlight of this match, if not the entire night. Randy Orton's got to get eliminated by some Bray Wyatt shenanigans. I would like to see Ali take Kofi's spot. I would not like to see Braun Strowman anywhere near this match. But the way I think this goes is very quick roll up by McIntyre on Sheamus, like who comes in, charges with the bro kick, duck, roll up, 1, 2, 3. Sheamus gets right up, bro kick, and throws him through a pod, and that's your fast lane setup. I don't see how they can get through, again, 3 months of Sheamus. And the more you guys talked, the more I was just like, fuck it. Lesnar comes in, throws Kofi around in the chamber, wins the match. Let's go. Because at least Brock Lesnar's exciting.
I really don't want Lesnar anywhere near that title scene.
But at least he's exciting, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I kind of see the match going is I think Drew's going to start with AJ. I think they're both probably going to be the final two involved in it as well, just because they are doing the big thing of Drew McIntyre just runs the gauntlet of everybody and he's the indomitable champion. And you do the thing with Sheamus, you have Hardy being eliminated quickly, Orton gets distracted, you can have Kingston, maybe have a hope spot towards the end and make him feel like, oh my god, they're going to recreate Kofi Mania, that sort of thing. Just because that would be a nice spot to have. I don't think Kofi's being taken out by Ali. Maybe post-match or he cause some sort of distraction, but I don't think he'll be taken out of the match. And then, ideally what I'd like to happen is this match to end, Miz comes out and cashes in and Drew McIntyre beats him as well.
I think if Miz cashes in, he's losing, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, hold on, but then what do you do? Like,
well, Miz is facing Bad Bunny at WrestleMania.
Fair enough.
For Fastlane, I think that they're either doing. It's weird. It's like we have no idea what their plans are for McIntyre Mania, but it seems like it should revolve around McIntyre as opposed to like. I can't imagine under any set of circumstances. My God, what is going on with my brain today? I can't imagine any situation going on. I'll change it to that. Boils down to. Here's the thing. It's not going to be like, Kofi wins the title and fights Ali at Mania. Or Sheamus wins the title and defends it against Strowman at Mania. It's going to be either Sheamus wins and McIntyre has to win the title back, McIntyre retains and has to fight Sheamus, or somebody else. McIntyre's in that title match. We're all agreeing, right?
Yeah. Unless they go with the route that nobody wants to see happen, which is Randy Orton wins the title and he's facing Bray Wyatt for it at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Is that 16 for Randy or 15?
17 wasn't it that he fought Wyatt for the
2017?
No, for the number of titles.
No, that would be
15, yeah.
No, wouldn't that be 14?
No, 14 was his last one.
Ah. Yeah, so then 15, I guess. Yeah.
I'm just double checking just to be certain. 4 World Heavyweight Championships and 10 WWE Championships. So yeah. So next one will be his 15th.
So I don't think they're doing that. I really am hoping that they don't even do Wyatt versus Orton at Mania, period. But I feel like that's kind of a fool's hope. I don't know why they want to just run that back. And I don't know what's up with this whole, let's set up something prior to Survivor Series and then just drag it the fuck out until WrestleMania. Like they did that with
the whole thing with the
Rollins and Owens thing.
Well, that was the whole thing with the Orton McIntyre feud in the first place anyway. That went on from like way before SummerSlam up until like the week before Survivor Series.
So dumb. But I do yeah. I do think though that like for Fastlane, if McIntyre retains here and the game plan isn't to do Sheamus McIntyre at WrestleMania, I think they do Sheamus versus McIntyre at Fastlane. But if Sheamus is involved at Mania, I think Miz is the stopgap. Either Sheamus wins the Elimination Chamber and then McIntyre fights the Miz in some fashion, like a number one contenders match, or I don't know what, at Fastlane, or McIntyre retains the title here. They're still going to do Sheamus, but they can't go with Sheamus. So Miz cashes in and fights at Fastlane. He wouldn't really like cash in ahead of time and be like, I want my title match at Fastlane. He wouldn't do that. But, you know, they could do the
You can
whole
always cash
stupid
in
crap.
and win and then just lose it at Fastlane.
Right. They could do some kind of nonsense like that. Like, it wouldn't be
But why would
too
you do that?
shocking for me.
Why not?
It sucks.
It
But
wouldn't be
who
shocking, though,
cares?
for them to do something like that, right? To just have, like, let's have the title change hands and get people talking for a week.
No, again, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. Just saying it sucks, and I don't want it to happen.
I think there's a chance that there's a scenario where you can have Roman lose it real quick. It would have to be to one specific person, but there's a scenario where you can do that. I think in the Attitude Era, during the peak of the company's popularity, people were dropping the world title left and right. It's not like you can't do that.
Kane won from Austin just to lose it the next night and everything, you know? Like,
Yeah, but
there's a precedent of that kind of crazy shit.
Yeah, but there's a difference of like, again, it doesn't matter how often titles are switched around or anything like that, but it's that old mantra is like when things are going your way, you can do no wrong. So even though if the idea of like swapping titles, just hot potatoing any championship belt that you see fit, that isn't the key to success. That's just something that's a byproduct that you can do once you're successful because you get no ramifications for it. And then we realised that the years following the Attitude Era, when people were expecting title changes all the time, then they decided they were going to pivot direction because it turns out that really short-term champions doesn't actually do anything for business positively. Then basically what I'm saying with that is that once, if the company was doing super successful things right now, then yeah, change the championship as often as you like. So, like you change the title this night, the next night, and then the week after as well. Then nothing's going to change. But it's not successful right now, and that's not going to do anything for it. It's just going to make the title seem a lot less irrelevant than it is already.
I got a feeling that in this match in particular, we're going to look back post WrestleMania and go, oh, okay. Like, just, you know, obviously some things are out of their hands as far as like COVID's changed a lot of plans up over the past year or so, but they're being very quiet about a lot of their ideas. And I just got this feeling that, like, for better or worse, we're going to look back on this event and go, that's why this was a total train wreck, or that's why they went in this weird direction, or, okay, well, they were planning on doing that, and the reason why they did 15 of the same match on the road to WrestleMania just to lead up to the match at WrestleMania, or whatever it might be, is like, well, they had nothing else, and that's their attempt of being like, can you just please fucking forgive us, you know?
Here's my misery scenario. McIntyre wins here. McIntyre beats Sheamus, and the big plan is let's just put him against Braun at WrestleMania, which I don't want.
What's your nightmare scenario, Callum?
Well, Miz wins the title here and he carries it past WrestleMania. Probably what the nightmare scenario is. Anything that involves the Miz holding the WWE Championship is a nightmare scenario for me.
My nightmare scenario is probably Orton wins and fights Wyatt at Mania.
That's close.
Hold on, gun to your head, Callum. If one of them has to win, Miz or Dolph Ziggler, who would you prefer?
What do you mean? Like, why are you putting that sort of situation? Can't I kill both of them and just get rid of them entirely and stuff like that?
Okay,
I mean,
fair.
It's
I
like,
just wanted to see what you would do.
Well, I'm just saying that there is literally no difference in it. It's like there would be absolutely zero circumstantial difference to it, so it doesn't matter in my mind. You can give it to either one. I don't want it to be on either one.
Fair enough.
I still like Miz.
I don't mind the Miz being on TV. He just shouldn't be in the world title picture. He doesn't belong there anymore.
I still want them to build him up and make him champion again.
Well, yeah,
Right now, it's not happening. They're not building him the right way.
Yeah,
So
if you build him up as a main event guy over the next year or so, then yeah, he can be in the WWE title picture. But he's a joke right now, and he's going to feud with Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. So why would you even want to have him in the title picture right now?
You guys think Bad Bunny's dropping that belt at SNL?
Yes.
I'd love to see R-Truth just running in the middle of his musical performance and just taking him out. That'd be good.
I'm really hoping that's their plan.
I assume he's actually going to drop it to Colin Jost or something.
Oh, that'd be fun.
You know what? I didn't think about other people winning it during that. They might just like. It would be really cool. I hate
just switch the title across all the SNL cast during sketches and stuff like that.
That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah,
that'd be super cool
if they could get it to where, because I mean, NBC is more tied with WWE right now. Like with this Peacock thing, if they really want to try to promote Peacock and the WWE Network merging together, they could make it to where a running gag of the whole night is like mid sketch. Somebody's just like, yeah, you know what? Fuck my lines. I'm going to pin you and win the championship. Like, that would be fucking great. And they're probably not going to do it. They'll probably just have R-Truth pin them after the musical performance is done.
There are some names, like I think Pete Davidson winning it would get a lot of buzz. Keenan winning it would be a lot of fun. There's a few of them in there. I actually think that they should. They really should.
Yeah. Keenan winning it, get Kate McKinnon to win it as well. It's just I'd throw it around the cast. I'd do some sort of weird like gag around it where it's just like in every single scene there has been something written into it which involves somebody laying on their back.
Yeah. So it's like they're doing a sketch where somebody's talking to a therapist and they're laying on the couch. Yeah. And then they just go over and pin them real quick.
Towards the end and pins them.
You know what I would love to see? I mean, I haven't watched SNL in years. I don't even know who's on the cast anymore or whatever. But I'd love to see when they bring like legacy cast members back. Fucking put the title on Steve Martin, man.
Oh no, they should get Jim Carrey's Joe Biden to win.
Oh, that'd be good.
He's doing a Biden thing?
Yeah, he does a Biden impression, yeah.
Huh. Is that kind of like the Alec Baldwin Trump thing?
Yeah. I feel bad for him. Like, at the end of the day, it's great that Trump's no longer in the White House, but it's kind of like ruined that income that he was getting.
Well, if you guys love this discussion about the TV stuff, go to fanboysanonymous.com, check out what's happening there. Maybe we'll get into a big long thing about SNL at some point and talk about like the best and the worst.
I'm more excited for SNL and the 24/7 championship than I am Elimination Chamber.
After having this discussion, I'm actually like, maybe I'll check out SNL instead of just, afterward being like, oh, I guess they did change the championship and I'll have to adjust the page. It's really dumb. I was just going to say, when's that on? Literally was about to say that. Yeah, Friday afternoon. So let's talk about the Universal Championship #1 contenders elimination chamber match: Cesaro versus Danny Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus King Baron Corbin versus Jey Uso versus Sami Zayn. That didn't even include with the winner facing Roman Reigns afterward in an immediate Universal Championship match.
Wait a minute, whoa. Why are we not just getting the Asuka thing out of the way?
Because you got to save the best for last. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
With this match, it's only going to be Cesaro, Bryan, or Owens. I mean,
correct.
Let's be honest. Corbin's not winning. Zayn's not winning. Uso, there's absolutely zero chance whatsoever that Uso wins.
Mm-hmm.
And
correct.
The winner is going to lose to Roman Reigns.
Yep. I mean, it's pretty much almost a certainty what's going to happen. It's just the manner in which it happens is the most interesting thing.
Yeah. And I love that. Roman Reigns being the guy who's got the pull to be able to be like, I'll defend the title right afterward. And he just, Superman punch, spear, guillotine somebody. Cool. He's a heel.
Okay. I'm probably going to hot take right here and stuff like that. Am I the only person that is not liking this Roman Reigns stuff as much as I was a couple of weeks or months ago? It's just due to the fact like the repetitive series with Owens. So they've just been running that like backwards and forwards. So he's still involved in this match as well. And then it's also, in my mind, it's just, well, this is just the Authority. But it's a guy now.
It's an inverse authority where, like, the guy is threatening the authority into, doing what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that argument, but it's just a case of, well, he's just calling the shots.
Oh no, it wasn't an argument. I agree with you. I was
Yeah.
just clarifying. It's an
Yeah.
inverse.
Oh yeah. He's calling the shots, so basically he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and there's no repercussions for it.
Yeah.
And really, like, if he was a babyface, like an Austin character, then that's cool. But he's a heel, so he's just making all situations favour himself, which I guess is good for Heat. But at the end of the day, we've already spoken about the fact that he's going to come out at WrestleMania, he's going to get cheered.
Yeah.
So that's not working the way that it's supposed to, really. And I understand that Roman's doing some excellent promo work, and the presence that he presents right now is so much bigger than any other guy on the main roster right now. But it's also just an issue of the fact that maybe it is also due to the fact they haven't built up strong enough baby faces. I mean, they built up Owens well, but they built him up at the wrong time because they really could have used him for WrestleMania if they decided to hold it out a little bit longer. But I just don't feel like I'm going to watch this match and just feel, because you just watch any Roman Reigns match right now and you just feel like, well, he can't lose the title here.
Yeah, he's not losing. There's no way in hell. Even if Daniel Bryan wins this, there's no way Daniel Bryan wins.
No, but it's just a case of like, is that good? Is that good that everyone who's at least quote unquote smart is watching this match and just sitting there thinking, well, this doesn't matter because they're just going to lose to Roman Reigns afterwards.
That's why I think the trick here is to give Cesaro the win.
Yeah.
That way people go, oh, they're finally pushing Cesaro. Oh, fuck, Roman Reigns, whatever. And then do Cesaro versus Roman Reigns in a straight up normal singles match at Fastlane.
So whomever is winning this match is facing Roman Reigns at Fastlane. Yes?
I'd assume so.
Yeah, I think so.
So here's the thing that I was saying. I see one option where Roman Reigns loses this. And that's if, God forbid, Kevin Owens wins this match. Because if Kevin Owens wins this match, the only way I want to see Roman Owens Fastlane is if Owens somehow gets a shot to the balls, stunner, and runs out of there with the Universal title, and then Roman has to kill him at Fastlane. That is the only way I see you getting out of this. And if Kevin Owens wins, I'm fully expecting him to win the belt. That being said, I gotta go with Cesaro. Cesaro makes a lot of sense here. He's the guy you can do a fresh match with next month. And he's never had a one-on-one championship match before, as crazy as that sounds. And
Not
I
at
think
all?
this could be the time. Not at
For a
all.
world title. Not for a world title, no.
Huh.
Yeah, I think he's been involved in like multi-man matches and stuff like that. I think that the only real shot he's ever had is in an Elimination Chamber match from about 2013 or something like that. It was right before. Oh, actually, it was 2014.
It was 2014.
Yeah, because it was right before WrestleMania 30. So
he was in that one, and he was in the ladder match at Money in the Bank to crown the vacant champion. That was 2013.
And it was in that Royal Rumble match that had the WWE title on the line as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, he's hasn't had the one-on-one shot. So yeah, I think that it should be Cesaro just for that reason, and it helps build a bit more animosity towards Reigns because Cesaro is somebody that people really want to see succeed. So that would be useful. Obviously, you can do the same thing with Daniel Bryan as well, but I think Cesaro's a fresher matchup. And at this rate, Daniel Bryan probably says that he wants to get pinned immediately in this match because he just is loving putting guys over now that he's in creative.
I think he gets pinned by Corbin.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that.
Just because he's lost to Nakamura, Cesaro. I mean, kind of left and right. It would make sense to me if Corbin's able to take him out or something. Unless he just puts over Cesaro again.
Yeah, I can see Jay eliminating him. Because Jay's essentially in there to be like the ringer at this point. It's just a case of like, well, he's there. If he wins, then he obviously would just lay down for Roman, so we know that he's not winning. But it's just a case that his role in this match is just to inflict as much punishment on everyone else as possible to make it as easy for Roman Reigns to win.
Yeah.
So I imagine he's going to do a lot of damage to people.
For that matter, too, I mean, the most obvious, easy way to go around this, like, we're all in agreement. The winner here loses to Reigns, and fights him again at Fastlane. The way to get around that, you only have a couple weeks. I think it's 3
You have
weeks
a month.
until
You have a month.
it's a full month. 4?
It's like
Full month.
It's early March, isn't it?
No, it's 21 to 21.
Oh dear, 21. Yeah.
So you got a couple weeks. You set up the next week on SmackDown. Cesaro, I'm hoping, and we're all kind of hoping, is like, that's bullshit. I want an actual title match. I didn't really get one like I deserved. And then you get, well, you know what? You're going to have to fight Jey Uso. And if you beat Jey Uso, then you get the match. And then you do that. Then week after that, you get Roman and Jey against Cesaro and Daniel Bryan or something. And whatever happens, then you get, you kind of like, it's not that hard. Like, I mean, come on.
No, it's easy enough to build afterwards, but it's just a case of, I think, to have this maximum effectiveness, you can't have Roman just squash Cesaro once he wins the Chamber match.
I'm hoping that he doesn't just squash him. I'm hoping it's at least like a 3-minute thing.
I think if you really wanted to get Cesaro for big, you have it go like 10 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
And you have Cesaro like have Roman take it cockily and easily and stuff like that, and Cesaro fires up, he gets a few shots in, he gets a near fall on Roman, and then Roman finishes him off. But yeah, I think that's something that they should really consider doing, just having Cesaro run through the gauntlet. I also think that to have the most ultimate effectiveness, the guy that wins this chamber should start it as well.
I don't know if I want to have somebody go the full distance, but I wouldn't mind Cesaro being number 3. Like the first chamber person out of the pod.
Yeah. I was thinking in terms of like just feeding the story. I mean, to have the most fun possible, it should start with Owens against Zayn, really.
Yeah.
Because that's just fun.
The thing is, you got a lot of really good people in this match.
Oh, this match will be great. I have no doubt this match will be great in the Elimination Chamber.
But it's almost like right now, a lot of them are chained to stale gimmicks. Like, I think Corbin's fun. I think Corbin is completely stale and played out and has been since the Constable thing. Zayn is great. This version of Zayn probably won't put forth the best match, but that's because character work. And this Kevin Owens is stale to me. I don't buy him as the underdog babyface. I like him as the prize fighter heel. And right now that spot is Roman's. So he's just doing whatever he can.
So ultimately, I'm going Cesaro. And then, of course, Reigns.
Yeah, Cesaro and Reigns.
Since we're saying what we predict, I'm going with Owens, and Owens wins.
And then we got to talk about the Raw Women's Championship match that may or may not happen in some fashion, at the very least. We know we're not getting the match that was advertised. Asuka was supposed to defend the title against Lacey Evans, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I've talked about it a lot. I'm not going to run down the same opinion a million times, but the long and short of it is Asuka for an entire year has not mattered. They've put the title on her and perpetually put more focus on everybody else, whether it was the Golden Role Models or the Lana and Nia Jax story or Charlotte Flair's return or Charlotte Flair and Asuka as a tag team or the current set of circumstances. Oh my God, I did it again. Donate to the Patreon and get me to get out of the fucking brain space. I'm going to write an article later on today too. How much you want to bet I write it in that? They were focusing way more on this stupid thing with Ric Flair and Lacey Evans and Charlotte Flair. And they're like, Charlotte's friend Asuka just happens to be the Raw Women's Champion. I guess we should put her in a match or whatever. And it turns out Lacey Evans is pregnant. And it's not even just a storyline. She's pregnant. So she's pulling the Becky Lynch of last year, kind of. I thought that there was actually a potential chance that Evans would win this championship just for the sake of putting it on Flair. And then I thought, well, that's not going to happen, but they're going to do something with Flair or whatever. Now, we can't get Evans. And they didn't bother to announce a different match. So we might not get this match at all. Or we might get Asuka against somebody else. I think WWE is going to do the thing that I hate, but I don't fault them for it 100%, that they're going to say, Asuka's going to fight somebody to be determined. And they're going to wait until the pay-per-view.
That's fine. I mean, there's only two real ways to go with this, and one of them is Charlotte Flair, who wins, and the other one is Rhea Ripley, who wins.
I'll be real annoyed if they wait until the pay-per-view and it ends up being Peyton Royce.
See, I said there's two ways to go with this, and then you go in there and throwing in a cockamamie third way. That's not
Cain Velasquez.
Not what we should do here. Like,
so I'd be really disappointed if it's Rhea Ripley, and not because it's Rhea Ripley, because Rhea Ripley's great, and it's nothing to do with that. It's due to the fact that I want it to be some sort of struggle for her or some sort of chase for her to win the title. It needs to be involved in a storyline rather than her just appearing on one episode and just winning the title. If that was the case, that she would just appear on an episode and win the title, would have to be against Charlotte. I don't see the point of doing it against Asuka.
Yeah,
there's no animosity between them.
The only thing I can think of is if they want to turn Ripley heel.
Yeah, and why would you do that? Because they see Charlotte as a babyface and have Charlotte win the title at WrestleMania or something over Rhea Ripley.
Beat her twice, I'll be fucking furious.
Yeah. So I don't think it should be Rhea Ripley. Charlotte is an obvious option.
Yeah.
And you use this to turn Charlotte heel because Charlotte is better as a heel. And you say like, oh, we managed to find you a challenger or stuff like that. Maybe you could have like Charlotte says that she's going to accompany Asuka to the ring for her match. And then they say, oh, we found you a challenger. And then Charlotte just boots her from behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the turn and the match and Charlotte wins the title. And then you build towards Rhea Ripley, maybe at WrestleMania. I think that there's a pretty strong possibility that it's just Peyton Royce. Or it's just someone else. I'm trying to think of anybody else everybody else on the Raw roster is basically confirmed, aren't they? So
it'd be Alexa.
I feel it's unlikely, but it's not out of the realms of possibility. I mean, at the end of the day, if Asuka's still going to retain, it could be anybody.
Yeah.
Like you could do, if you're not going to do the women's title match at Elimination Chamber, then you could just do one of Nia Jax or Shayna Baszler or both.
Yeah, and they could just be like, hey, look at that. We're getting a random shot to Nikki Cross and don't complain about it, or else we're going to say that you don't get what you want every once in a while or whatever, you know? But the smart play is to just, it sucks for Asuka, but it's a matter of fact. They are not keeping this title on Asuka by the end of WrestleMania. It's not happening.
Nor should they. I think they've proven that they don't want to run with her, and if you don't want to run with her, then don't run with her.
Yeah, she is either dropping that title at Elimination Chamber, dropping that title on Raw, dropping the title on Fastlane, or dropping it at WrestleMania. There is absolutely no way Asuka retains that title past the second night of WrestleMania. So if they're going to give it to Charlotte or whoever else so that they can give it to Charlotte, they're giving it to Charlotte in some fashion. They should just have Charlotte be the replacement, just beat Asuka. You could have the whole thing where it's like, well, you know what? She might have a rematch on Raw or whatever. And then they just tell Asuka to fuck off because that's what they're going to do. It's going to happen. Get yourselves ready for it. And then you set up the Rhea Ripley thing and you just move on from the Evans thing.
One way or another, it should be Rhea and Charlotte at Mania, and Rhea should win.
I want there to be, I mean, this is nowhere near what I would want for like how they would have built a lot of these things, but I want there to be Flair beats Asuka here on Fastlane. They do a number one contenders something or other, Fatal 4-Way, Battle Royal, whatever. Rhea Ripley wins and beats Flair at Mania.
Yeah, pretty similar picture in my mind of how I think it's going to go. It's Charlotte wins the title here at Fastlane. No, not at Fastlane, at Elimination Chamber. She wins a rematch against Asuka on the next night on Raw. Ripley debuts on Raw there. You have a match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley at Fastlane. The winner gets the number one contendership for Charlotte. And then you have Rhea Ripley beat Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Works for me.
Yes, it's
That
pretty
works
clear.
for me too.
Not I'm super fond with the idea because I would just like Asuka to, be to matter.
Now, we talked nightmare scenarios about the WWE Championship. What's your nightmare scenario about this?
Miz cashes in and becomes the
They go with Peyton Royce. Asuka wins. Then they drag out Asuka and Charlotte until Mania because there's no reason.
Yeah, that's kind of like I think the worst case scenario. I mean, even if they were to give not Nikki Cross, the Alexa Bliss the championship, at least she's a character that's doing something and is being treated with some sort of prominence.
I can think of a couple nightmare scenarios. And I don't think it's this happening, of course, and it fucking better not. But
Bayley moves over to Raw to win the title and then unifies it with Sasha at WrestleMania. Am I right, Tony?
No, I'm not even remotely thinking of that. I'm thinking like if you want me to get some real nightmare fuel, Peyton Royce replaces Lacey Evans as Evans' surrogate for the match. Oh. But Lacey Evans can win the title if Peyton wins. And with the distraction, Evans becomes the champion, and it doesn't even count for Peyton Royce. And they go with she is a pregnant Raw Women's Champion who can't defend the title for the next 9 months, so she doesn't have to defend the title going forward. And you bring back Becky Lynch, and you do this whole Charlotte and Becky and Evans and I'm a mom and I'm going to be a mom for the second time and all this other kind of nonsense just so they can do this. I'm telling you that this is nightmare fuel. And in the meantime, Asuka is just sort of like, I'm just going to dance in the Battle Royal. And they just kind of, because this is a company that just does random shit. And they love doing stuff like this thing with Flair and Evans, and this, well, what do we do with Lana? How about she is with Bobby Lashley, and then Liv Morgan can come out, and she's a former lover, and then that'll dissipate into nothing. Becky Lynch, I don't know if she's going to factor into Mania, but when she comes back, it's going to be, she left to go be a mom and whatever. I'm like, there might be some crazy pitch out there about like, oh, Evans is gonna be having a second kid, and then we're gonna do this and whatever. I don't want any of this to happen for anybody that thinks that I would pitch any of this crap if I was on the creative team. Not in the slightest bit. I'd be the guy that would be like, no, I'm gonna throw myself off the building. But that's a nightmare scenario. I'm hoping Asuka just drops the title to Flair and we just move on.
All right, now, Callum, The Miz winning the WWE title has to be better than whatever it is Tony just said.
No, it's not. Because Tony's scenario involves Becky Lynch and actually the person coming back. So, so that's like that's beneficial in the grand scheme of things. Even if the angle bringing her back is stupid, at least she's back. So
that's fair.
But yeah, I mean, I kind of dance with the idea in my mind of potentially having some sort of surrogate thing happening where Lacey Evans, because she was one originally signed to the match, wins it. In my mind, it was something even stupider that Ric Flair beats Asuka.
Yes.
And then it's Ric Flair versus Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the Women's Championship. But,
that's awesome.
What if they go with Becky Lynch as a replacement? I don't think it's happening, but that would be a way
like
to.
Callum said, holy shit, it's an actual star.
Yeah, that would be a big deal if she came back and she was the one replacing Asuka. It's just whether or not that happens. I mean, we have no idea about what Becky's status is right now. We know that she has had her kid. We don't know how long that has been given for maternity leave or anything along those lines, or when she intends to come back. But we know it could be at basically any point now, probably. But I don't think that she will do that. Yeah, sometimes in these situations where you had something planned with Lacey Evans And I think a lot of us were probably in the mindset that they were probably going to do Lacey winning the title, and it's going to be Lacey against Charlotte at WrestleMania.
No, because they were still Fastlane. I was under the impression that Charlotte just takes it from her at Fastlane, and then you could do the Rhea Ripley thing.
I was
I
actually
kinda-
working a little bit more into the idea that Asuka would retain and Asuka would drop the belt to Flair at Mania.
I'm also kind of like bizarrely, I don't know why people think that you would like essentially heat up Rhea Ripley in a couple of weeks to face Charlotte Flair. Like at this point in time, like Rhea Ripley's been mostly on NXT. I know she was obviously at WrestleMania last year, but she's mostly on NXT. There's probably a lot of people in the Raw audience that have no idea who Rhea Ripley is.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to build her up a little bit before you have her fight for the women's title at WrestleMania.
I don't put it
I
past
don't know.
WWE to botch 9 out of 10 things in this era. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm not saying that they wouldn't do that again as well, but that seems like at least would be elementary to do that. But yeah, so I just assumed that Lacey was going to win, and we're going to do Lacey against Charlotte at WrestleMania. So that those plans have been thrown out of the window completely. So just do the simplest thing, which is the thing that you're going to do in the long term anyway. Just give the title to Charlotte and work from there.
and I don't think we're going to get an answer about the replacement until the actual pay-per-view.
No, they'll keep it a surprise. I mean, no one's
Um,
watching this show for that match anyway. So
Yeah, it's going to annoy the crap out of me one way or another, I'm sure.
Imagine if it
Maybe
is Lacey.
what's that?
Imagine if it is Lacey.
That they lied about the pregnancy?
No, but Lacey isn't that pregnant. Well, she's pregnant, but like isn't that far gone. I mean, Becky wrestled while pregnant, that when she didn't know about it. So
That'd be
I think it would be a
really dangerous.
possibility.
or they just have Lacey win it and she doesn't take a bump because she has a bump. So
Maybe she
Possible.
wins it on the bump.
well, yeah, you just do a situation where somebody takes out Asuka and Lacey just pins it. Maybe if there's this whole grand swerve of, oh, Charlotte's now okay with Lacey Evans dating her father, so Charlotte takes her out and she lets Lacey pin her. And then Lacey on the next night on Raw vacates the title and gives it to Charlotte.
If
At
they
that
do
point,
that-
I want Becky Lynch to come back and just run roughshod through everybody.
At that point, I want them to just cut a check to Vince Russo.
Bro. Yeah, but he would have booked the miscarriage angle in it.
Yeah. Well, whatever happens, we're gonna talk
I
about
can't
it.
believe we saved that for the end.
We had to. That's what people are clicking on here for. We will address any adjustments to the card when they are announced, if they are announced. Maybe this whole event happens and it's just a promotion for Fastlane, and they go, "Look at that! You watched that for 3 hours." But the hot tags at least might include some new matches. If by the time that SmackDown's over, they add a couple more to the card, maybe they put on like an Intercontinental title match or a SmackDown tag title match or whatever it might be. Maybe they've got some game plans going on. If not, then it'll be Saturday or Sunday, and then the adjustments will basically just be up on the website. We're not going to obviously do another podcast just in the meantime for that, because we'll address that stuff on the post show, because that'll happen on Sunday night when Elimination Chamber is going on. In the meantime, between that, we're going to have the Progress show, as I mentioned before, on Saturday. Maybe there's some stuff happening on Saturday Night Live. And we'll also have another episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast, one of the last ones that is in this series. What's coming up on that one, Callum?
Well, one of the things that you can appreciate about retro shows in the past is the fact that it's already happened, so there's no chance of being disappointed or being left up in the air about anything. But
Yeah.
so this next episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast is the go-home show for No Way Out 2003. We'll have an in-ring confrontation between The Rock and Hulk Hogan before their match. Have more gifts, more Big Show bearing gifts for The Undertaker in the build-up to their match as well. Some matches involving the competitors. Brock Lesnar runs the gauntlet against Team Angle. So, yeah, there's plenty of stuff to look forward to on that show, where me and Rob will be reviewing it, of course. And after that, there's only a couple more proper episodes to go. And, of course, check out the $10 if you're at the $10 tier or above, then you should be checking out the review that myself and Rob do of No Way Out 2003, which will be up on the Patreon on Tuesday, I believe. Other than that, check out the articles on smarkupmoment.com, including power rankings, because that's what I contribute every single week. And follow me on Twitter at WigMaster14.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Twitter at DudeFelice. If you are checking out everything wrestling related, you can check out Fightful.com, where we will have all the Elimination Chamber coverage. We will have up to the minute WWE 24/7 Championship coverage, because that title is a thing, and R-Truth has held it 51 times. And for everything else, just click around, check out Fightful Select, check out WrestleZone.com, and we'll see you here on Sunday.
Obviously, if you are checking smarkoutmoment.com, you'll have whatever updates I'm going to put on there. You know, we do all the TV show stuff. The 24/7 title is updated on the champions list. The heel and face turn list is always in the mix. And, the roster is changing. We got some different people coming in here and there. And I'm hoping that by the end of the week, we've got some more news about some of the new signings and everything to talk about on the hot tags. And this week on the hot tags, we'll talk about some of the other things that are going on right now. That's kind of the whole point of the hot tags. We'll talk about the Young Rock TV show. Watched that last night. So get your impressions and thoughts on that. And whatever else, we'll lump into that kind of stuff. But not only is that stuff happening there, and the fanboy stuff is happening there, I got stuff on eWrestling News and Bleacher Report. Check that stuff out. You can follow that all by following me on Twitter at Tony Mango. And anything else that's happening, like the Review to a Kill podcast, which is our James Bond retrospective series, is on Fanboys. That's rolling along. I think the next one that you guys are going to be able to hear is Thunderball, if I remember correctly. If not, and then it's You Only Live Twice, because we're going in order. So stay tuned for that as well. And we'll see you when we see you. Hopefully you enjoyed this edition. Hopefully you enjoyed the week, your day, the month, the year, the decade, whatever it might be that you're listening to this. And we'll see you next time, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.